can't relate to cancel culture, hookup culture, or victim culture.
Well, neither could we. We created this platform for those other girls. Girls like us who want to give a different perspective from a Christian and conservative worldview.
We talk about life, work, relationships, pop culture, and everything in between. So let's be those other girls that just don't talk about culture,
but change culture.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory.
And I'm Freeman.
And we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. I definitely just forgot the intro for a second. I hope you can't tell. In my head, I kind of glitched. But we're all good now. Thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, that's what you'll get. You'll get real honest and fun, unedited conversation.
Except for the parts that we do edit.
Yes, except for the parts that we do edit, it is all unedited. If it makes you feel any better, it's huge flubs, or if it's a glitch, a legit glitch, not a brain glitch, but a glitch in the connection, then we'll edit.
Yeah.
If this is your first time listening, also too, we talk a lot about faith and femininity, and this is going to be your new favorite podcast. So go ahead and make sure you have subscribed and you have all the notifications on, because you're going to love the podcast. And you're like, oh my God, this is so great. Where has it been all my life? So go ahead and do that. Anyway, Freeman, how is life? Anything exciting going on right now?
Well, I'm 22.
Woo, 22. Ooh. Your Taylor Swift
year. That's right. So, what's that?
Your Taylor Swift year.
I know. So I'm really hyped about that, obviously. It's still birthday week.
Yes.
So whatever I say goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really riding that wave right now. Let's see what else.
As you should.
Yes. Also, this was a really fun weekend because not only did I turn 22, but TOG had its 3-year birthday party.
Yes.
A lot of just momentous events the last few days, and it's just been really nice. It's raining here really, really hard, which is cozy, but also kind of sad for people who aren't experiencing a cozy summer rain. They're experiencing a lot worse right now, so our prayers are with folks that have experienced this hurricane and
the people of Florida.
Yeah, it's been a really wild last few days, but I'm safe, warm, happy, healthy, and glad to be here. So I've missed the podcast. I feel bad that we weren't able to do last week, and I was barely able to do this week. No free for all this week either, folks, because school just kicked back in, school and work, and I got a gym membership.
Ooh.
And I'm trying to make new friends, so it's been really crazy. And my mom's coming out to visit. It's been a lot. So how are you, Mallory? It's good to see you.
Yes, you too. I'm good. This weekend, 2 seconds. I'm just going to talk about this real quick. This weekend, the party that we had, and so many random people messaged me about the podcast, was really rejuvenating. The podcast is hard work, and it feels really good to know that people care and people are listening, because I am not doing it for me. I mean, obviously I love talking, so even if it somehow we get down to 6 listeners, I probably still would for funsies, but it was very reassuring, okay, yeah, this is going in the right direction. I'm very happy and content with the direction that we're going in, and it's just Monday, 2 episodes scheduled. It was really, I just needed that new spark, that new oomph to keep going. Recorded 2 episodes. Yes, scheduled to be recorded on Tuesday. We're recording tonight on Wednesday. We have some really good content coming to you guys, and I am just very grateful for everybody that listens. Seriously, this is an indie podcast for those that don't know. I'm sure it looks like this big podcast. I'm sure you guys think we're backed by millionaires. We're not. I know, shocking. We're not. It's a very indie podcast, and indie podcasts don't last this long. So I just feel very grateful that we still have listeners, and we have people who genuinely like the community and who are on our app, which you should join. And yeah, that I'm very, very grateful, and I'm excited. There's a lot of things, like I think I talked about this in the episode that's coming out Tuesday. 2 things that I really like when I sit down and I think about what the direction I want to do. I want to entertain, obviously, because it originally started off as a podcast for girls like us, girls who just kind of wanted to hear pop culture, fun stories, maybe like relationship stuff, but not necessarily like, you don't want to hear someone's full on sescapades. Like that's old, that's dead. And it started off as just kind of like that. I couldn't find that podcast, so I was like, I'll just make it myself. Like that's how I started off. So entertain and educate. Like I really do want, when you listen to our Tuesdays episodes with all of our interviews, I really do want you to get something out of it, and something that you can like share with your friends, something you can share with your family. And if it's something that has a call to action, something that you're able to actually do. So those are like just the 2 main goals that I have, and I'm really excited to be like tapping into that. And that kind of leads me to this past Tuesday's episode. So the Tuesday before this episode comes out, I released an episode I did with Kristen Turner, and she discussed the trial of the 5 pro-lifers who were found guilty. Now that we know, as the time of this recording, we know they're found guilty of violation of the FACE Act and conspiracy. So we talked about that. We talked about what rescue actually is, and we talked about what are ways that we can help. It was a very good episode. I learned some things in that episode.
Super powerful.
Yes. And I think it's just something that if you are pro-life, you need to listen to it. And then you need to share with all your other pro-life friends, because I think that we just don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And yeah, so Tuesday's episodes are typically going to be like that. Maybe not as heavy. This upcoming Tuesday's episode is not as heavy. It's kind of the exact opposite. But you know, that's what our Tuesday episodes are. They're more of like an interview style. But anywho, thank you guys so much for listening. And that was kind of the highlight. Other than doing this, that was kind of the highlight of the week. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, that's kind of it. I feel like we should probably get started. We have a lot to discuss today. Oh,
and that was a good segue into our new segment called Did You Hear?
Yes, we have a new segment, and this new segment is going to be brought to you by, oh, so sorry. I just remembered one thing I want to talk about. Dang, that would have been I should have talked about this before, because that segue would have been perfect. I want to talk about, there is a conference. It is the Black Women in Pro-Life Black History Month Conference and Sneaker Ball. So this will be February 9th and February 10th in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I am super excited to be a part of this. I'm part of the planning, and I'm also going to be speaking, and those are girls are going to have a table. So I'm encouraging everyone listening to come. This is so, so, so important. We have discussed this. I'm sure if you're pro-life, you've heard the statistics of how abortion affects the Black community. So I think just having a conference, this is the first conference of its kind. There's never been a pro-life conference for Black people. This has never happened before. So this is going to be the very first one of its kind. And it's so needed. And it's going to be men and women, which I think is fabulous. When we were kind of discussing this, in my head I was like, oh, it'll probably just be women. But then, you know, more people talked, and it's like, I love the idea of men and women, because at the end of the day, like, it is a men's and a women's issue. Like, it is something that we need to come together, and people need to see strong men standing up. So some of the speakers are going to be Alveda King. She is Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece. You guys know we love Christina Bennett. And Trenae, she spoke at the last march? Yes, the last March for Life. She's on the state legislator in Connecticut. My age, she's class 2013. I'm pretty sure 2014. Anyway, she's my age, and she is a fierce defender of life. And get this, you guys, she's also a Democrat. So it's very which, you know, blows their mind. She's pro-life Democrat, and she's Black and a woman. So it's just such a she's amazing speaker. Need to have her on the podcast in general. And Benjamin Watson is also going to be a speaker, and if you don't know who he is, because I certainly didn't for a long time, he used to be a famous football player. So now he's speaks on family and things like that. So it's really exciting. Yeah. If you're listening and you're interested in coming, reach out to me. Hopefully we'll do like a giveaway or something closer to the time. We'll figure out how to do all that. But if you're interested in coming, I really, really would love you to come. And I think it's just going to be a great conference. There's a sneaker ball. I'm not really a sneaker girly, but I love a ball. So obviously I'll show up. And I'll just have to find some cute pink sneakers. But yeah, so want to tell you guys about that. And merch. This shirt, it says Other Girls in the Barbie font. We have this emotional support water bottle. And just so many other things. Oh, and that, what are those? Tumbler, tiny tumbler. It is with the Barbie Other Girls font. Mm-hmm. We just have a bunch of things that you guys should definitely check out. You help us pay for things. You help us reach people. You help us do this podcast. All right. Enough of my chit-chatting. Let us get to our new segment called Did You Hear? This is a segment where, sometimes a lot happens in a week and sometimes it doesn't. But when a lot does happen in the week, it's like, I want to tell you guys, but then it's like, we already have too many stories.
Or at least acknowledge that we know this exists.
Exactly. And it's just quick, which is my jewelry store, which is all things. So first thing is, and this is brought to you by the Pink Rose. The jewelry that I'm wearing is literally from the website. Super cute. You can use the code OtherGirls10 at shopthepinkrose.com to get 10% off. Okay. So the first one is, did you hear about the Spain soccer chief, Luis Rubiales? I butchered that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Rubiales. So FIFA just suspended him, but essentially, yes. So once Spain won, the women's team won the World Cup. I want to say it's been 2 weeks now. Everybody's cheering, everybody's jumping. Yeah, we did it. He walks up to one of the members, or like everybody's hugging and everything, and it's like a line. He takes one of the members' faces and literally kisses her on the lips. When me and my dad saw that, we went, what? Because it was just like, in America, we don't do it as much, but in other countries, we do the mwah, mwah on the cheek, on the side. But no, he like literally went and mwah on the lips. So she said it wasn't consensual, and her and a bunch of other people wrote a letter, and they are saying that they are not going to play for them anymore. They're not going to play for them anymore until he is fired. So that's one side of the story. Other side of the story is he said he's not stepping down, and then his mother is going on a hunger strike because she doesn't like how her son is being treated. Okay. That's one of the things that happened this week.
Okay.
Another thing that happened this week is it was released. They released that the OnlyFans owner, everyone, I'm going to give you a minute. Guess how much the OnlyFans owner makes in a day. Now, OnlyFans, for those that don't know, we've discussed it many a time, is a platform where women are their own bosses, kind of like an MLM, and they're able to put explicit images of themselves on this website, and men pay. Guess how much the
okay, I guess $5,000 a day.
Oh no, much higher. Guess a higher number.
100,000.
He makes $1 million a day. He made $1 million a day in 2022. Let me tell you this: the average OnlyFans creator makes $180 a month. He is a pimp.
Worth it? Or could you do DoorDash an extra 2 hours a week?
I mean, I feel like I just mind blown. So 2 thoughts when I first heard. Well, not necessarily discuss it, but like really, like I'll say this super quick. 2 thoughts when I first heard that. First one is like $1 million. How many people are signed up for this OnlyFans? Like $1 million a day, you guys. $1 million a day. Some of us will never even have $1 million in our entire life. $1 million a day.
I read that was not even including his salary. That was $1 million in bonuses.
Stop it. I don't want to hear. Stop it. That wasn't even his full salary. Stop it right there.
No, that was $1 million a day in bonuses.
Men, are you okay? Because the thing is, men are funding this. And I posted this and someone was like, well, girls sign up too. Okay, sure. But let's be honest. Come on. Stop kidding yourself.
Wait, somebody said girls
sign up too. Girls are paying for OnlyFans too, which,
we pay for what, other girls?
That's what this person was saying. And I'm sure there are girls who signed up. Let's be honest. But let's also be honest and say it is majority men. I just
buying women.
Yes. So I don't know what to say. We did discuss a little bit about the Face Act. I will link that episode in the description just so you can listen to it and then so you're able to share it. And then I saw this really nice reel. Wrong link. I saw this really nice reel that I want to share with you guys. Everybody's constantly asking, like, how do you get to have so many friends? Why do you have so many friends? Just joking. But
people ask you that?
Well, people not friends. Constantly, but yeah, people have asked me about how do I make friends, and it seems like I have a lot. People have said, but okay, I'm making a joke, and I don't mean it in the cocky way. It's just it's a random thing.
No. That's interesting. Nobody's ever asked me how to make friends, but probably because I don't have too many. I'm just kidding. I have a lot. I mean, not a lot. Anyways.
What? This unedited podcast.
Yes.
Well, all that to say, I saw this great reel, and it's something that I need to work on because I always want to be a better friend. We all go through moments where, not we all. I'll say for myself, I go through moments where I kind of isolate myself just because I'm working through something, and I don't want to be a bummer around people, so I kind of just isolate myself. But I do want to make sure that when I do come back out into the world and everything, that I am being a good friend. So this is something I saw. People are asking all the time, so I think this is a good thing. So this is by Ashley.Morgan.Jackson on Instagram. It says, be the Christian friend who looks for her gifts and calls them out in her, cheers for her to be all God has created her, reminds her how far God has brought her, says, girl, you better walk into that room that God sent you there, prays for her behind her back, lets her be honest about her fears, and speaks God's truth over her when she doubts. I think these are good Christian friend qualities, and I think this is a way to if you're treating people that way, people are going to want to be your friend. So I hope you heard it.
I love that. I need to work on words of affirmation because a lot of times I recognize people's gifts and I think they know how I feel about them. Like Elise at our boot camp, she was the first person to help roll out mats, help set up.
Oh.
And it just really stuck with me, and I didn't tell her, and I didn't say anything because I assumed maybe she knew I noticed it and appreciated it, but I need to work on that. So this was a great reminder.
Yes, and I want to also say, what is your love language? I think that that's something we can also remember. So when you're in a relationship with someone, you need to learn the other person's their love language, so that you can do their love language to them, and they should learn yours, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think in a friendship, I think that you don't have to be, it's good to learn that other person's love language, but eventually people will show it. So one thing that someone pointed out to me, actually she had recently met me, and she's something like, your love language is you like to help people, something like that, because I like to make sure, I'll just use an example, for my friend's birthday, I went through all the list of the things that we needed because I know she likes the big things and she likes the balloons and all this other stuff. So, I went through to make sure, because that's how I feel helpful, and I feel like I'm loving someone. And I for a friend's baby shower, I went and I was looking up all the things, got some of the games, and that's how I feel, as if I'm showing someone I love them. I might not be able to do I can't buy her a stroller, but I can print out some games. I can, tell my mom, hey, do you at your store, do you have blah, blah, blah type of thing. So I can do that. So like whatever love language, that's not helping people. That is gifts. That's my love language. So that's how I try to do things for people. And I think that when you are doing that, like when you are kind of consistent with that, that also just shows people like, hey, this person cares,
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
All right. You ready for our main stories? That was the segment called Did You Hear? We'll try to do these every week. If you have something quick or something cool that happened in your life or in your town, don't take this the wrong way, but something that's like relevant that happened. You lost a tooth, that's fantastic. That if your child loses a tooth, if you lose a tooth, that's a little strange. If your child loses a tooth, we're happy for them and we will cheer them on. But I don't know if that's something to share on the podcast. But something exciting happens in your town or something, let us know. We can maybe use it for the Did You Hear segment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And here we go. Okay. Our first story actually comes out of our hometown, Charlotte. Okay, so this article is brought to you by Carolina Journal. The Charlotte school system sues social media companies over mental health crisis. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board is suing owners of major social media platforms for contributing to a mental health crisis among American children. Close to 200 school districts across the country have filed similar complaints. A federal judge is scheduled to address the company's motions to dismiss similar complaints. The companies claim that the conduct targeted in the lawsuit is protected under Federal Section 230. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board is suing major companies for contributing to the mental health crisis. The board filed its 184-page complaint last Thursday, in the U.S. District Court for North Carolina's Western District. The suit targets owners of Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube. Defendants include Meta and Google. The Wall Street Journal reported in July that nearly 200 school districts across the country have filed similar suits. The Greensboro-based attorneys representing CMS told the Charlotte Observer last Friday that other districts in North Carolina plan to file suit. Quote, American children are suffering an unprecedented mental health crisis fueled by defendants' addictive and dangerous social media products. In the past decade, Americans' engagement with social media grew exponentially, nowhere more dramatically than among our country's youth. That explosion in the usage is no accident. It is a result of the defendants' studied efforts to induce young people to compulsively use their products, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. And the defendants have grown not just their user base, but the frequency in which the users use their platform and the time each user spends on their platform. End quote. So, do you want me to go first or you want to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, so when I first saw that, I was like, oh, look at Charlotte trying to do something good. Okay. Where I am... So, okay, I also agree that what has social media done in the last 20-ish years has transformed the world. I mean, we are not the same mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, heck, even spiritually.
Sexually.
I was trying to think about one more Lee, but we're not the same. We're just not the same. Intellectually, because of social media. And this is not a good thing. There is a lot of positives that come out of social media. You probably found this podcast because of social media. That's a positive. Some people positive. People are finding their spouses because of social media.
Finding God.
That's a problem. Exactly. Some people are finding God through people preaching online and whatnot. But there are still so many negatives. I mean, there was that movie that came out. Have you seen it? It was on Netflix. It was a documentary about what is the name of that? Do you remember the name of that movie?
Cyber.
We need a Jamie. Jamie, look this up. Just joking.
Oh yeah.
You guys I'll know the movie, or if you don't mind looking it up, because I do want to mention it. So there was a movie that goes. So they do know what they're doing, making things addictive.
Is it The Social Dilemma?
The Social Dilemma, yep. So everybody should watch that documentary. That's your homework. And it is it is on purpose. Here's the thing. Yes. It goes back to what we've discussed many a time. Do you legislate morality? Is this something the government needs to be involved in, or is this something that we need to use our self-control in? You know, does the government have, like, is their goal to stop these corporations, and then stop them from what? You know, maybe I just need to have it explain a little bit more to me, but, you know, stop them from making it more addictive. Now, how do they, you know, like, stop them from doing it? Because what they did is they did research. They have psychology. Like, they have purposely made everything addictive. Like, let's be honest. And I wouldn't say that these are moral people. And you guys know how. Anyway, I wouldn't say these are moral people. They, you know, the whole art purposely made these things addictive. They purposely made them argument about, like, Facebook is now the public square, so you should be able to say whatever you want to say on it. They purposely made themselves that. Because, I mean, they get trillions, I'm sure, trillions of dollars through this. Through having their social media. The thing is, though, like, is everything that's going on with the children, is that their fault? Is it their fault indirectly? Absolutely. Is it their fault, or is it their fault morally? I would say yes. Is it their fault legally? That I'm just not sure if that's. And I think, you know, what they always say is, like, we, as parents, you guys have got to be on top of this. And I'm sure it's difficult. Like, I remember and we didn't have, like, this big thing like it is now. I remember in middle school, everybody had a MySpace, and my parents would not let me get a MySpace. And then to top it all off, we went to the library to use the computer. We had a computer at home, but I guess they turned off the internet somehow. But I just know we couldn't access the internet on our computer, so we had to go to the library. So we certainly couldn't make a MySpace there. So I just remember everybody around me had a MySpace, and I was so mad. I remember everybody got a cell phone before me, and I was just, like, so upset. And I remember when I finally got the cell phone, and I was super excited to give people's number, and I had to leave it downstairs. And, you know, these are things that, like, I remember being so mad at my parents. And, you know, I would never tell them to their face. But those were good boundaries to have. I'll give them that, you know? As the kids say, they ate a little bit. They ate that. Like, those were good. Those are good boundaries to have, and I think that that's important. Now, I'm sure it's even harder now, because I'm sure kids at, like, 8 years old have Facebooks, so it's hard to tell your, like, you know, 15-year-old, no, you're not going to get a Facebook. I didn't get a Facebook until I was a senior in high school, and I think part of the reason was because that was how people were finding their roommates in college, and I guess they just couldn't hold off anymore. My brother got one that same year. So that's the other thing too, everyone listening. If you're a parent, make sure you are being consistent. Because I remember I couldn't do stuff until I got to a certain age. But all of a sudden, the boy a year younger than me could. Weird. I don't know. Anyway. All that to say, though, like, we really got to start putting up these boundaries and, like, be the parent. Now, I'm saying this as not a parent, so I'm not going to. That's where I'm drawing the line at, like, trying to tell people how to, quote unquote, parent. So I can't say when people do that. But I just think, you know, use discernment. Freeman, what do you think?
Yeah, I think not only is it up to the parents to use discernment, I think it's also up to the student. I mean, students are smart enough, I think, I have faith, to recognize that there is a lot of harm that this technology can produce. So I don't think it's totally even necessarily the parent's responsibility. I think it's also the child's responsibility. If the child has the capability of being on social media, they should also have the capability of understanding its risks and its benefits.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be a strict age limit on when parents are enforcing or whatever. And I'm like you, I don't think that we should even be telling parents how to parent, because every child is different. So if you feel like your child understands the risks associated with social media, then I think that's okay. I think if you can tell your child is not quite mature enough to grasp those concepts, that's okay. Let's just wait a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily only on the parents. I think it's also on the child to have that maturity and awareness. I also feel like it's up to I also feel like it's up to teachers and coaches and aunts and grandparents who are in this area. And I mean, heck, it's teachers suing right now. So it's absolutely something that I think teachers need to be thinking about. But it does make me think, like, even if there is a social media company that is explicitly targeting your child and wants to make a profit off of your child, cyberbullying or giving them anorexia or gender dysphoria, like, even if they're specifically targeting your child and creating those unhealthy situations will involve them making a profit, even if such an evil company existed, I still feel like social media is a tool. And how we use that tool is up to us.
Okay, that's good.
Because we can't assign, I feel like there's this mentality of assigning morality to social media, to guns, to drugs, to alcohol. And it's not that this thing exists that is good or bad. It's how we use it. It's the meaning behind it. It's the value. My wedding ring, the fact that it exists, isn't good or bad. It is a object. How I use it, whether I use it to tell the world that I'm taken, or if I use it to throw at my husband and hurt him and stab him in the eye. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how we use these tools is what matters. But the fact that the tool exists isn't really up for a moral debate.
Freeman, this is good. That is good.
Thanks.
No, that's such a valid point. It is just a tool.
Because I think it's a poor worksman or a poor workman who blames his tool. You know, when he's failing,
take that, CMS.
At producing. What?
I said, take that, CMS. Just joking. They're not listening.
But like when we're not getting the results we want, instead of looking introspectively, we would much rather, as a society, blame inanimate objects, right? We want to blame guns for killing people. And sure, that is a huge tool that we're using in a bad way. But also,
they say
how we're using that tool.
Yeah.
You know, drugs. Okay. Drugs can be used for good. They can be used to help anesthesia. They can give us pain relief. They can also, we can also get drugged out and kill people.
Yeah.
It's how we use the tool. And I think it's time for, schools, parents, teachers, and yes, children and students to take responsibility for allowing, social media to get this bad. So long story short, I'm not sure I really agree with blaming social media for, and I think maybe we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I think we are too.
Those of us that are like angry at social media for causing this mental health crisis, and those of us that are saying it's not really the fact that it exists, but it's how we're using it. I feel like maybe it's a distinction without a difference, but I do want to make that distinction that ultimately our freedom, our free will is what makes or breaks it.
Yeah. I think that is such a good, honestly, thinking of it as a tool is such a good point. And it was so on the nose about how we want to, as people, we want to blame everything around us instead of looking inside and being like, okay, this is something in me is causing me to do X, Y, and Z, and I need to fix that. And I think that, as because when your child is in your home, you're the parent. And as the parent, I think it's your job to model the idea of let's look to see, okay, my daughter has been on TikTok for 6 hours today. She's not gone outside. And now we're at the dinner table and she's not eating. She's saying she's fat when she's like a size 2. So I think it is your job to say, yes, TikTok, that's not right. But then, okay, what was it in her that triggered her type of thing? Like that, what you're saying, that's what I'm thinking. Like even amongst myself, some of the things that I even see, like when I get upset or quote unquote triggered from something, I need to look to see like what in me is upsetting me. What do I need to face? That's good. That's
why did that strike a chord in me?
Yeah, that's a good analysis. And
thank you.
Speaking of parents and children online
and social media,
we have like a sister article, I guess you could say, to what we said. And this is from ABC 7 Chicago. Starting next year, child influencers can sue if earnings aren't set aside, says Illinois law. Illinois is the first state in the U.S. to ensure child social media influencers are compensated for their work. Posting social media pictures and videos of your child is a popular move right now. But if you're an influencer doing it and you're making money off of it, you're going to have to start paying your child. Illinois became the first state in the nation to pass a law establishing earning protections for minors who are featured in online videos. State Senator David Kohler of Peoria sponsored the bill, which Governor J.B. Pritzker signed into law last Friday, and it will go into effect July 1st, 2024. Quote, "The rise of social media has given children new opportunities to earn a profit," Kohler said in an email press release after the bill was signed. "Many parents have taken this opportunity to pocket the money while making their children continue to work in these digital environments." End quote. The idea of the law, which covers children under the age of 16 featured in a monetized online platform, includes video blogs, also known as blogs. That's so funny. Was brought to Collier by a 15-year-old in his district. The Democratic senator says, "That's so cute."
Wow.
I guess it's not cute. It was probably a serious thing. Anyway, I'm sorry, 15-year-old. Besides coordinated dances and funny toddler comments, family vlogs nowadays may share intimate details of their child's lives, their grades, potty training, illnesses, misbehaviors, first periods for countless strangers to view. Brand details featuring the internet darlings can reap tens of thousands of dollars per video. But so far, there are minimal regulations for the sharenthood industry. Sharent, as in like sharing hood industry, which experts say can cause serious harm to children. So I like to go first. But before, I have a question to ask you. Before I do that, I want to say something really quick. I think this is really interesting. And Freeman, can you look up really quick who is the kid that makes the most money on YouTube playing with toys? Maybe just Google kid who makes the most money on YouTube playing with toys. And if you can find the kid's name and then how much he makes. There are kids who do super random things and are being watched by other kids, and I'm sure some adults, and they're making millions of dollars, and they might not ever see a dime of that. That is crazy.
I've got Ryan Kaji, 9, earns $29.5 million as this year's highest paid YouTuber.
29.
And you're saying it's possible he may not see a dime.
It's possible he may never see a dime.
Because a 9-year-old can't have a bank account.
Correct. I'll tell you, well, that's not true. He'll see he'll see it as his parents' new house, his dad's new car, his mom's new car, but he's not going to see it for himself. That's probably a better way to explain it. 29 point, what was it? 5.5 million. That is so much money for a 9-year-old. So I think this is good for the kids. I mean, there are some, so I personally don't like that family vlog thing. Like, even sometimes people like on Instagram will pop up my reels, and it's this couple. I'm sure you guys have seen them. They're mixed. The mom is white, the dad's black, and they have 2 girls and a boy. And I try to turn it every single time because I don't want to support, because sometimes they show the kids too much, but gosh darn it, they're funny. And a little corny. So sometimes I do watch it, but I really don't like to watch with kids. There's even like this little girl, this dad, I can't even remember the name, but they come up sometimes on my TikTok For You page, and I try to scroll, but the little girl is so funny. He asked her, "What do you do if someone comes and asks at the playground and says, 'Hey, can you help me find my puppy?'" She said, "Ask him." She said something like, "I have to ask them if I can get into their car to help," or something like that. And he's like, "No, stop. She does not understand. Don't let her out."
Oh gosh.
It's like silly things like that are like funny and sometimes like cute and adorable. But I'm also like, I don't think you should be putting your kids. I don't know. So I'm gonna ask you, Freeman. I'm gonna paint a picture. 5 years from now, those are the girls. We have a building where we operate out of. We have a really nice pink studio. My half, it's actually split in half. My half is super pink. Your half is very European chic. You can tell, and like on the screen you can see it's like two halves of being a girl pretty much. And we have that. We are donating. You have a baby girl now. Millions of tampon women. Okay. You and Andy's, obviously. You have a baby girl now. And you have 100,000 followers on Instagram. And every day people log on to see, what is Freeman doing now? Do you post baby girl on Instagram?
Maybe in the form of like a family photo. And I can definitely see myself doing like a close friend story if she was doing something funny. I can't really see myself 100,000 followers. I mean, I only have like 900 followers right now, and I'm pretty sure I only have like 40 active followers. So I wouldn't really have a problem doing it today, just because the truth is, like, I really firmly believe only like max 150 people keep up with me. Max.
Yeah. You're so funny.
If I had 100,000 people that actually kept up with me, that's a really good question. I might in the form of a family thing, but I definitely wouldn't.
Like
I don't think I would post just her.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? I really don't know.
So I've thought of this many a time. And I think I would do similar to what you're saying. I definitely would post like family photos up until a point. No, I would post family photos until, let's say, she's like, "Hey, I really don't like being in pictures." Then after we go to the doctor to figure out like why is she acting like this, I'm just joking. It would shock me if a child of mine did not want to be in a picture, but you know, everybody's different. So I would not put her in a picture. Like if she doesn't want to, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I do. So I was listening to The Spillover last week, and Benny Johnson, who is a commentator, conservative commentator, who I'm not his target market. He does a lot of Gen Z type humor that I don't find funny. But he is a proud father. And he said that he posts his daughters because he thinks he's someone who promotes a traditional family. He thinks that it's really good to have a mom, dad, and the child, and like it's important to show that that's great. And as a man, it's important to show that he's excited and he's happy about it. Like to show young men, because you know, right now the cool thing is to have a nice car and a bunch of girls. But he's trying to show that, like, no, the cool thing is to have a loyal wife that loves you and a bunch of kids when you run home. And he said, like, what, like, he can't just say it if he's not, like, showing it. You know what I mean? And when he said that, I was like, okay, I like that. Like, so I would post my kids, but I'll tell you a line that I would draw. Like, you know, if my kid's having a tantrum, I don't think that's funny.
Totally.
When it's my daughter's first period. That's weird. That's creepy. You wouldn't be posting that. If
Yeah.
my daughter, let's say she does ballet, like I probably wouldn't post her recital pictures. Maybe like at the end, when the dad gives her the flowers, that's what my dad would do. Like, give me the flowers,
Sure.
and then we do like a picture and everything. And then you're like in your jacket and you're still wearing your leotard, but like, you're like, so like, I'd maybe post that, but I wouldn't post like, oh, this is. If I had a big follow, I think that's another key thing too. If I had a big following, I wouldn't do that.
You'd be more thoughtful and careful.
Yeah, I do think like, smaller followings, it's not that big of a deal. I know that there's some celebrities that have like Facebooks, for example, that are just like completely private. They literally only their family. Because another thing that's so great about Facebook is, my parents don't have Facebook, which is like probably one of the most annoying things. I want to get them one so badly, because whenever anything happens in my family, they'll post it on Facebook and then I have to relay it to my parents. But that's one of the good things. That's one of the good things about Facebook, though, is like, they might not. So one of my aunts had like a health scare. Maybe they couldn't text everybody all at once. It's good picture or just a post. This is what's going on. And, and then I could tell my family, So that's one of the positives about social media that could be good. So I can understand maybe having like a private one as, as you grow and whatnot. But, the idea of just some of the stuff that these celebrities or even these influencers are putting their kids is just, it's crazy to me. Talking about your child's first period, talking about your child having behavior problems at school, they don't want people to know that. That's so awful. So I'm glad that they will at least get money out of it. It'll pay for their therapy probably. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree that it's a good move. I think it boils down to the question, do we own our children? Like, are our children our property? Because I think if so, then technically any income the child brings in belongs to the parent because the parent owns the child. So if you have the mentality that you own your child, then sure. If you're of the mentality that we're two individual beings with equal value and dignity, then I would say no. It wouldn't be acceptable to take what they made and pocket it, just as it wouldn't be acceptable for them to take what you've made and pocket it. Now, there's obviously a give and take because a parent is doing like literally everything for this child would die.
Right.
But I wonder this a lot, like, are children property?
Yeah. I understand. Let's figure out a better way to word that, because I understand where you're coming from, because are these the right thing? Because like, children, when we say children are the parents' responsibility, no, that's not a good way to word it either. I'm trying to think. I guess maybe property.
Because I would say no.
Yeah.
A human being is never property. Now, is there a hierarchy? Is there a responsibility involved? Are there things that are there rights that one individual has to sacrifice? Sure. Like, I don't think that makes you property, though. Like, it's also an interesting question. If we are two equally valuable, equally dignified individuals, how is it possible that one person has to forfeit rights? Right to watch television after 11, the right to a phone, the right to property. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But obviously, we do acknowledge that there is a hierarchy, and a parent does have a right to withhold certain rights. But my question is, within this context, how far can that go?
Right.
How far can a parent withhold their child's rights, and what rights?
And I'm just also thinking of this. What is how are they going to enforce this law? I remember, actually, I don't remember where I heard this, but the saying is like, a law is only as good as it's enforceable. So like, it doesn't make like, so, and you know, I'll use open email for example. I low-key hate when one of my parents passes me the mail and it's been open. Technically, that's a legal offense. Am I going to go to the police officer and go, hello, sir, my dad keeps opening my mail. Arrest this man. No, come on. Like, let's be real.
My mail from humanlifealliance.org.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, like, is that, like, is this even enforceable? And then I'm guessing what they'll probably have to do is, like, then maybe they'll, like, lower the age that you can have a bank account, I'm guessing, maybe. And then, you know.
Yeah.
But then what if your kid's in it for just 10 minutes? And then
and how do you monetize that?
How do you monetize that? Do you calculate, okay, they were in it for 10 minutes, so they only get 30% of this video. You know, so like that's a hard thing to regulate, and it's a hard thing to enforce. And if you're not going to sue your parents, like, you know, you're just not going to sue your parents. So I mean, what are they?
Unless you're Michael Oher.
Oh yeah, unless you're Michael Oher, you're not going to sue your parents. Well, nope, you're not going to sue the people who have a conservatorship over you. Remember, they didn't even adopt him. He just had a conservatorship. So anyway, I don't like, how do you even enforce this? I think it's a good thing.
I think better safe than sorry. Don't monetize your child.
Yeah.
Like if you were making like,
well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Now that I said that.
Well, I was gonna say, like,
I get there are totally God-pleasing ways to monetize your child. If you want to post your child praying because you're selling a children's prayer book, sure. But if this is something that you and I are like, well, how are they going to force it? Well, what?
Yeah.
Easier safe than sorry.
Yeah. I think it's the intimate details that I have the problem with. Like, okay, the little girl thinking to go, like, you have to ask the adult if they have a card to help them find the puppy. Like, that's silly and funny. And like, you know, if I was an adult or if I was in high school, I'd be like, oh, I said that. That's kind of funny, you know. Yeah, those type of things are like, oh, okay, that's kind of sweet and innocent. But then, you know, there's also
also kind of embarrassing, but it's okay. You're my parent,
right? But there's also
funny home videos.
Exactly. But there's also this aspect of like, you know, she already has her digital footprint has already started without her even really realizing that. There's that aspect of it.
What do you think about toddlers who haven't even consented?
Right. That too. I mean, the Ryan fella, I mean, what's the point of him even? I can't get over $29 million. Like, and he's really not. It's not his. Like,
I don't see it.
There's no way that's his. Maybe his parents put aside $100,000 maybe for college, but that's all that boy is gonna see personally. Like,
well, hey, that's more than I have.
No, I'm not knocking that. But like, if I woke up one day and my parents were like, okay, I'm sorry, we have to show you something. And then we look back and there was 1 year as a child I made $29 million. Because the thing is, this gravy, like, it's not going to last forever. YouTube is probably going to be here forever, but like, you know, kids playing with toys is not going to always be popular. There's going to be phases and stuff like that. So like, eventually that money's going to run, or he's not going to be making as much and it's going to run out. I just can't imagine, like, you know, waking up one day and like, oh yeah, I used to make, well, thanks mom and dad. It's time for me to get a house. Can I have someone that?
Now I'm on the decline. Right. I peaked when I was 9.
I mean, yeah. So yeah. Let us know what you guys think. Would you put your kids on social media? And then I guess the next question is like, how much? Because once again, like, the little story that's kind of funny, you know, playing with the toys, I don't think that's that bad. I think, if I remember correctly, his story, they just were like, oh, this is so funny, you're just gonna play with toys, so cute, look at him. And then all of a sudden, like, it just blew up. And then, you know, obviously they turn it into a bunch of other things. Now I think he, like, is the king of Toyland or something. I don't know. tons of things with that child.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there's that innocent, but then, you know, when you think of all of those family vloggers, and I don't want to say this family because, you know, everybody Christian loves them and I don't think they're necessarily wrong, but like sometimes I'm like, okay, please take your crying child and comfort them. Like, this is a little much, you know, when you pretend like you anyway, I won't say it. Yeah. I actually like them, and if they were to come on, I would love to have them on. I just think that sometimes they're inappropriate. But anyway, that's
we all are.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. No, I'm just joking. No, we can all make mistakes. Like, that's another thing too. Like, we all make mistakes. So if you had your kid out, or you know your daughter had her first period, because that's the one that I'm just hung up on. Like, I'm sorry, I know I'm hung up on that because that's such a personal, intimate time that no random stranger should have any clue or inkling about. That is just, I can't even imagine. Or like your child is having a mental health crisis and you think, oh, now this is some content. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Or those videos you've seen with the people, they have the egg hit their child. Have you seen those videos? They're like, okay, we're going to crack an egg now. And the kids think they're just recording a cute little video for their friends. And then, like, let's say this is the child, the mic is a child. They'll have the egg and they'll be like, boop, hit the child in the head with an egg. And they're like, that's not cute. That's not funny. Like, I don't know. There's just, yeah. Anyway, so last thing we're going to talk about is, I saw this tweet, and it was also a podcast episode that Lila Rose did, if you scroll all the way down. She talked about toxic femininity versus true femininity, and I thought that was really cool. And we talk about femininity a lot on this podcast, and we talk about like how do we define it, and I really love what she said. So I think this is going to be our, like, when we're talking about femininity, this is what we're going to be talking about. I love the way she defined this, and I'll link the podcast episode. It's a really good episode. So this is what she says toxic femininity is. Everybody listen. It's the all about me. It's rejecting children. It's using beauty to deceive and incite lust. Love that line. It sees men as enemies or conquest. It puts other women down, and it weaponizes emotion. This is toxic femininity, which is a real thing. We talk about toxic masculinity all the time, but there is toxic femininity. There's true femininity. Independent, focused on love. I'm sorry. Interdependent, focused on love. Embraces children. Uses beauty to inspire and heal. Collaborative with men, not competitive. Celebrates other women. The Summer of Barbie. Pursues virtue and honor. Love it. Wow. Love, love, love. When we're thinking femininity on this podcast, this is pretty much what we mean. Interdependent, focused on love, embracing children, uses beauty to inspire and heal. And I want to talk about that for 2 seconds. I really love that because I think that, you know, ever since the fall of Eve, fall of Adam, God has made women beautiful. Women, all of our, Mary Kay said this on her episode when she was on the podcast, all of our sexual organs were on the inside. We're a mystery. We are different than men. And we can use this beauty in a positive way to inspire and heal, or to deceive and incite lust. Delilah from the Bible versus Esther. Oh, wow. I just made that good. Okay. Delilah from the Bible used her beauty to trick Samson. And because of that, you know, Samson cut his hair, lost his strength. Esther from the Bible used her beauty, and she won the beauty contest to become queen. And because she was so beautiful, the king listened and respected her. And she saved her people. She saved the Israelites. So, the Jews. So, you guys, like, your beauty can do one or two things. Are you a Delilah or are you an Esther? That's the question for this week. Are you a Delilah or are you an Esther? How do you inspire and heal? We can talk about that on another episode, but that's just something to think about. Are you using your beauty to inspire and to heal, or are you using it to deceive and incite lust? Okay. Collaborate with men and not competitive. I think this is something naturally we, in our society, culture today, we have to fight against. We have to fight against being competitive with men. We are created for a purpose. We have great skill sets that are wonderful and beautiful, and men have their own. No need to compete. Celebrate other women. I think, like I said, Summer of Barbie. It is, you just want to be a girl's girl. I'll leave it at that. We can do another episode on that. Pursue virtue and honor. Love it. So these are, I just love that she laid these out. We can, it'd be fun to do an episode really breaking down all of these toxic, and
yeah,
maybe we'll do that in the near future. But yeah, let us know. Are you a Delilah or an Esther? If you're a Delilah, I hope you keep listening, and I hope that we can help God, the Holy Spirit, work through you to become an Esther.
I think we all have both. I mean, I know at work, I don't always celebrate other women. I know I find myself competing with other women to get more tables or to get more tips, or, you know, to work the hardest, to work the fastest, to be the teacher's pet. You know, I don't think it's necessarily that we're good or bad, but maybe in what ways have you experienced toxic femininity? In what ways do you exude toxic femininity? And in what ways have you been working on true femininity?
Yes, I agree. I do feel like, I guess I'd have to see what you mean. So I'm just going to agree with what you said.
I think there are elements. I mean, yes, overall, someone's good, someone's probably bad. Like, overall. But I think an interesting question would also be, in what ways are we both? In what ways do we have that toxic femininity? And in what ways are we really embracing true femininity?
I guess what I mean is kind of like the example you gave with your coworkers. I think you can be competitive. Like, it's a job. You got to pay your bills. So I think it's okay. But then at the same time, like, I guess this is another, like, a good thing, like, thinking more about this. You have to pay your bills. So you do want to, you know, for example, get that table. So then you have to.
For sure. And I think it's a problem. I think it's a problem when other women say, well, you're greedy for wanting a table or wanting. That's not true femininity. True femininity is wanting that girl next to you to get that money. You know, you want to help her with her table, make sure her tables are taken care of.
Yes. You want your sister to get the money, but you also want to make sure that you. This is interesting.
No, it's not an either or. It's not either you get money or I get money. It's we can both be successful tonight, and you may be making a little more money than me is not a failure on my part. Yes. I'm congratulating you for getting lucky.
And the toxic would be just, I'm getting it, none for you. But a positive would be, let's
either or.
Do it. Yes. Okay. Yes, both and versus either or. Yes, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, you still have to pay your bills. So yes, that makes
a lot more sense. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
No, don't throw yourself under the bus. Yeah, for anyone.
One thing
but encourage one another.
Exactly. And one thing that I just kind of on that throwing yourself under the bus thing, I learned this. I don't know where I learned it, but one thing that's really important is we have to remember that, like, we have to be able to help others. We also have to be helping ourselves. Like, when you are a lifeguard, not even when you're on the plane, they say put your mask on before you put on someone else's.
Yep.
So, you know, one thing that.
Yep.
Yeah. So just remember that. So that's just a side note on that.
For sure.
I think that's it. Anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I loved ending on that. That's a great thing for me to walk away thinking about this the rest of this week and into the next week. Just how am I working with my coworkers? That stuck out to me. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Lila. You're also welcome on the podcast. I will try to do an as mentioned earlier, I'm gonna try to do oops spoilers this weekend. I tried to watch Aquamarine. We're logged out of the Disney Plus on the TV, and it's my brother's friends.
Oh.
So I've been trying to get him to ask his friend to give me the login because it's on Disney Plus. It's not even a Disney movie. Otherwise, I'd have to pay. I don't necessarily know if I want to pay to watch the movie. So
yeah,
you guys, ideally, I will be doing Aquamarine the spoilers this weekend. And like I said, we have last Tuesday's episode, and then we have a cool, fun Tuesday episode coming up with Savannah. And we're talking about the Whatever podcast. Boo, Whatever podcast. So that's just a little preview about what's going to happen on that. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, rate, review, comment, and subscribe. And you need to tell all your friends. Tell all your friends about this podcast. Like I said, Saturdays, we just go over some of the cool things that happened this week. Tuesdays, we do fun interviews. They can be serious. They can also be very lighthearted. Yeah. So have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening. Bye.